You know how it is in the house if I'm not.
We'll start the recording and let them in. Here they come.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Anasa. So happy to see you all. So let's start with meditation. Take your attention inside, all the way down to the tip of the tailbone. And let's set an intention for the class today about the intention that we all experience the most expansive possible connection to the highest best for the whole, to the energetic foundation of all life. Feel that intention coming in and breathe that through your body, connecting to the highest possible intention for humanity, which aligns with the highest possible evolution available to a human being. Connecting to our love of divinity and divinity's love for us in the same space. Feeling that energetic awareness moving through our entire system. And a settling taking place as we feel into the calm of this connection. Now bring your attention to the tip of your tailbone and feel it gently move back on the inhale and forward on the exhale. And now feel for the quiet in between the in-breath and the out-breath, in that space at the tip of the tailbone. When you're ready, gently move your attention up to the energetic center below the belly button. Feeling the fullness. Again, feeling into the center between the breaths and the stillness. Allow all the energy between your ears to funnel down to the lower two energetic centers of the body. Feel the calm. When you're ready, gently take your attention to the solar plexus, feeling for the space in between the breaths. When you're ready, allow your attention to move up to your heart center. Breathing into the space between the breaths. When you're ready, allow your attention to move up to your throat center. You can swallow to release any tension that you might feel there. Again, centering your awareness in between the breaths in the stillness. Gently guide your attention through the portal in the roof of the mouth to the third eye, behind and between your eyebrows in the center of your head, and look into this space for the divine light, that inner light that shines no matter what. Allow your mind to quiet and your inner eye to clear. Holding to this awareness within ourselves. Gently open your eyes when you're ready. There's no hurry. understanding that this field of awareness that we're cultivating is what being an evolved human being. This is the foundation of that evolution. And that evolution is never ending. The evolution itself is the goal. And the reward is joy and simplicity, simple acceptance of oneself as both small s self and large s self. So Anasa is an energetic field of awareness, and we make ourselves available to humanity in support of this evolution. We are not angelic in the sense of the Judeo-Christian definition or image, but angelic beings are the closest that we can come to in your language to give you the idea of what we represent. We want to help you bring your awareness ever to an ever more evolved understanding of the potential for humanity to live from love. This is our only purpose. And love is also the only word in your lexicon that we have been able to use to represent this vast field of information that we are endeavoring to make available. We are the essence of humanity. So it is important that you not regard us as non-human. That's too many negatives. We are the essence of what it is to be human. And so we share that with you. And because we are that, there is simplicity in our message. The complexity that human beings entertain is fine. It's all welcome. But spirituality itself is simple. It's simple connection to our evolutionary potential. And the real practice is dedication to this evolution, not to any idea or ideal outside of ourselves, but to be honestly in touch with love itself in every moment. And when we discover that we're not in touch with that, we use our breath to recreate that state in ourselves. So the practice is one of attention and intention. With the understanding that we are a dynamic system that is constantly being informed by forces outside of us that we may or may not understand. We'll give you a brief astrological update. There is a conjunction in Leo. Leo is a sign in astrology that is ruled by the sun. So the sun is very hot. And Ketu, the planet of enlightenment, but also the planet that makes us want to reject everything material, everything outside of us, and is also very hot. K2 is a hot planet, so that brings double heat in Leo. And K2 is conjunct means it's in the same house and very close to the same space as Mars, the hot planet of war. So we have a triple heat signature happening, which of course can bring fires, but it can also bring internal fires as we internally combust from being exposed to all this heat. So those of us that are sensitive to, primary anger energy, this is likely to be fired up, to use a phrase, during this intense exposure to fiery energy. Of course, it's also creating a lot of heat in our external world between people. Relationships are getting burned up. And Sun ruling Leo puts a lot of egoic energy. And so people who have very strong Leo energy, like the President of the United States, are feeling the heat. But this particular conjunction of planets, because it's a transit, we all experience it in the sign of Leo, wherever that falls in our own astrological chart. Even if we don't have planets there, we experience it in the arena that it falls in our own lives. We welcome your questions. We're so happy to be with you today. What's going on for you in this time? And how are you dealing with it? And how can we help? It is a good time to be practicing a Saturn mantra because Saturn stabilizes and gives focus and discipline in its most favorable ways. Om Namah Shivaya is a good Saturn mantra. And it takes less than 10 minutes to say it 108 times. But Saturn can help to stabilize us in the midst of this chaos of fiery energy. So you may have noticed in the last week that the heat has been intensifying internally. And then as these planets begin to separate midweek, depending on how you read the chart, the heat will begin to calm down. We welcome your input. Yes, good morning.
Hey, hello.
Hmm.
Well, really nice to hear about the fire because I've been going through it.
Not surprising.
No. And I'm detoxing from candida, so that's been fun.
Oh, yeah.
And my niece got married yesterday, and I finished up a sign floral thing for the wedding, a big, and I was like had to go into the second part of the lettering part, which was like, oh my God, I did this full time for my livelihood, and stepping away from it for 12, 15 years ago, having to just be so rigid painting it, I was like dying going through this thing, and my back was cramping up, and I was like, oi. So, and then I helped with, I haven't been feeling well, and I helped with all the flowers. Like my sister and niece went to Trader Joe's and got piles, like a few $100s worth of flowers, and we made just these gorgeous bouquets. And yesterday, while we're setting up and working, and I'm at half mast with my energy, and at a beautiful little park in Camas, Washington, called Falling Leaf Lake. If you haven't been there, it's magical. This little lake.
It's beautiful, yeah.
Oh, what a sweet place. But a couple friends of my ex-brother-in-law, the ladies, were very gung-ho, and my niece had like planned out where all the flowers were going to go, and she was absent. She gave me a quick rundown in about less than a minute of where to place them. And she was very specific, and I could only grab part of it. And these two gals were so over enthusiastic wanting to grab the flowers and take it over. And I was like, well, hold on here. My niece she's gone for a while. Can we wait? I knew where a good portion of them went. And they just wouldn't let go. They're like, let's just get it done. I want her to be happy when she comes back. And I like tried to tell them. And I was kind of surprised at myself with saying, no, my niece wanted it this certain way. Oh God. And I was like, wow. And I kept on, well, let's just wait till she comes back. Anyway, finally it's like, all right, go for it. I was so surprised at myself, just like hanging on to this. And it was kind of crazy, but she was so particular about every part of her wedding piece. And I just went, have at it. But I was surprised at myself, and it's just like, oh, well. And it did turn out very nice. And she didn't come back. She was getting her face done, her hair, and all that.
Right, she couldn't come back.
But I was so surprised at myself, and kind of just digging in a bit to protect her. But it all turned out fine. But it was just how that day went, and I was not feeling well. But it turned out lovely, the whole event. And yeah, so that was part of my fire. And I've had this like agitate, kind of like a reflux. My throat is red here, and I'm thinking to myself, my God, when is this going to subside? Is this heat in myself? So I'm glad to hear, midweek or so.
Well, I suspect that your chart may be very similar to mine, because that sounds very much like sixth house energy, with kind of acute symptoms and attention to detail.
Yeah.
And having all that heat in the house where those things are erupting.
Those things, yeah.
For want of a better word.
Oh, geez. So I'm quite
And you must have had a birthday or be having one
tomorrow.
Okay, there we go.
And you as well, right? In a couple days?
Mine was on Thursday.
Oh, Thursday before mine. Yeah, of course. A couple days older. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm now 72.
I'm right there
Quite
tomorrow.
wonderful, yeah.
Well, anyway, that's my little heart
thank you,
come
Brenda.
up. Oh, so anyway, I was thinking, and we were thinking of going up the gorge. What's it called? the big rock up on above Skamania. There's this big hiking place.
Don't go on the Washington side. There's a big fire there.
So I saw this morning. So
Yeah,
I'm thinking fire heat, well,
exactly.
yeah, I know. So figure it out.
Yeah, it's hard watching the gorge go.
Oh, it's just the time of the year, huh? It's seems like the pattern, yeah, and probably gonna remain that way for a while. But we have cloud cover and maybe a little rain tomorrow, so
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
yeah. So that's my report.
Valuable. It really shows how this heat plays itself out in our lives.
Jeez. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel better now. Thank you.
Oh, good. Good. Yeah, I think their meditation this morning was quite moving.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're so welcome. How may we serve further? Yes. Sorry, I don't have any volume. Your mic is still closed. There you go.
Yeah, I so yeah, I got back uh Friday actually from a 2-day retreat, uh personal retreat in Brighton Bush Hot Springs, which is
Wonderful.
yeah, up in the mountains. My group used to go there every year for, a 3-day workshop, which was really great. And I've only been there a couple of times since the fire, but it's really quite devastated
Mm.
um, all around there. And it destroyed half of the grounds, the cabins and things, but the main lodge remains, and it's an old lodge. I think it was established as a retreat center in 1977. And so that's when the lodge was built. Or maybe it was older than that because it's been a kind of a vortex for a long time of of energy because it's a beautiful hot springs. And it has been and it is run all on hydroelectric. So they produce all their own energy. And it's really a high-minded place. It's hippie.
Mhm.
And all people of all sorts are welcome, but it tends to draw younger white people just because, there's a nice diversity, but it's a little rugged. So you got a lot of walking to do and a lot of soaking and the mix of high energy and then material energy, especially for me, everything hurt. I injured myself a little bit, and so all the walking was hard. I
Mm.
kept forgetting things. I'd leave things at the lodge and then I have a camper, and so I'd be up in the camper, and so I'd have to walk back and forth. And it was really an interesting juxtaposition um, between this wonderful high energy and keeping it together on the ground floor, Um, and I asked myself, was a question that occurred to me is, uh, you know, for humans, for human evolution, can it even exist without being really grounded in the earth?
The answer is absolutely yes, because evolution has to do with awareness, not with groundedness. Evolution is an energetic event, and you can be demented and hold to love. A mind is not necessary. This is what we think you were alluding to. The mind is not necessary for evolution. It's awareness and expansive awareness in love that is necessary. What holds us back is fear, because we live in a culture that has such extreme value for grounded intelligence that when we feel that is undermined in any way, we feel like less of a person from a cultural perspective. That has nothing to do with spiritual evolution. Spiritual evolution is expanded awareness of love. The easiest place to see this demonstrated is in children with Down syndrome or other brain injuries. They are nothing but energetic balls of love. And to have the experience of being with, brain damaged children is to really understand that love does not require what we regard as intelligence. It's a different kind of intelligence. And in some ways, the analytical intelligence that our culture values can be an obstruction, especially if we hold to that definition of intelligence as our beingness begins to, as our physical material body begins to devolve with age, which is what it feels like. It's the fear and the grasping that become our limitation. So cultivating curiosity about energetic awareness is the antidote. And remembering the expansiveness that's inherent in uneducated and what we would consider from a cultural perspective incapable of education, but this expansiveness of love is just present. And that presence is what permeates everything in these children that never seem to age because of their connection to this evolutionary energy. But it's hard to remember that as we begin to fade.
And there are so many details in the living of the body.
Well, that gets exaggerated when you're out of your normal environment. And the amount of loss also gets exaggerated out of the environment because it's and at the same time, community is important. It's really important because it's so easy to feel isolated. For all of us, in cultivating our independence, there's a point where, community becomes really important because we can support each other. And one of the fundamental themes that we promote is the awareness of our interdependence. And the cultivation of community to solve that.
The 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 Brighton Bush community is it's just wonderful. And yeah, I do cultivate independence, and it I go through whatever the fear and the anguish when I lose that independence, or when I feel it slipping away. But the community up there is so helpful, and that energy of love is everywhere. And in fact, the slipping away of my independence allowed me to be embraced by it. So, yeah.
Wonderful. How
Yeah.
wonderful. At the same time, there is a youth-centered part of that environment that that makes it a little bit difficult. Does that ring true?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I mean, they're so capable that it's hard to bring it together into we're all one place.
Yeah, that comes from your inner experience and the wisdom of being alive for a long time. but it's easy to lose sight of our own accomplishment in a field where everybody's being capable. Because that's not what we're cultivating at this age and stage. It's not about becoming capable. We've done that.
Mhm.
Now it's about becoming realized.
Mhm.
And that's an inner journey. And you're doing it. And that's not about grounding.
Yeah, that really answers that question very, very well. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. I got seduced on YouTube into watching an Edgar Casey uh, discussion about cremation yesterday as I was just, sort of surfing. And it was so interesting because I thought, I think cremation is the way to go because, taking up space seems like a ridiculous thing to do with a dead body to me. So I was kind of curious because, you know, and sure enough, he said, cremation is really a good thing because as the body is trying to separate, when it's burned up, there's no longer this material identity to hold the person to the earth. And he even said that in burial, sometimes people can't escape because they keep referencing the physical body, and that that the burning up of the fire really makes it so much easier to just let go and be present in the space. I found that very, very interesting and not unexpected, but kind of delightful because I'd already in my own way come to that conclusion, but for different reasons.
Yeah. So, and then there's this earthing, well, that's not what it's called, but being, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah, where you become fertilizer.
Right.
Yeah, and that's all fine too.
Yeah. Slower, a slower process.
It's a slower process and it does take up space. But it's not a bad idea. And time is a very relative thing. It doesn't exist outside of three-dimensional reality.
Mhm.
Hmm? Oh, I can't. You're not audible yet. I'll let you know as soon as it comes on.
Trying something.
There you go. There you go.
Right. We were trying something that didn't work.
Right.
I was wondering if you could speak to what the definition of grounding is. What you mean by grounding, what you and Carol think you mean about that. Hmm.
So grounding is when you take your energy through your feet and feel your connection to the earth. It's the energetic experience of being connected to earth. And it also happens when we take our attention to the lower chakras. It's very grounding. When our attention is the opposite of that is when we're dissociated. We're not even really in our bodies. Our mind is just crazy and it's kind of out here and not really in our body. And we, kind of circle around and don't really connect to ourselves. We're just kind of out there. Those are the two extremes of being grounded and ungrounded. And the in between is heart-centered awareness, which is when we're both grounded, but in touch with a bigger field and expanded. That is a place of knowing.
With yes. Most of what I do these days is with the earth, in some form or another. Um, I was just laughing because Nancy was a sign painter. I was a sign painter. And uh, the it was very difficult work. It didn't seem to others that it would be, but anyway, it was. But now I'm so-called retired from that, and I spend most of my days, when weather permits, in touch with the earth and the growing things and grounded, as it were, literally. Um, and you're speaking about having the two dimensions, modes going on at the same time is what has been my work at this point. It's inner work and the work with nature. And so thank you for um, elucidating the grounding part, because I sort of got the impression that you didn't need to be grounded. Um, but that's not what you were saying, I think. Um,
Well, it depends on what being effective in the material world requires grounding.
okay,
But being effective in the material world is not the same as spiritual connection. You can have both at the same time.
yeah,
And while we're here, it's nice to have both at the same time. But the point we were making is that spiritual awareness is not limited to intellectual function or
right,
intellectual capacity. And we can be grounded and spiritually aware. We can be spiritually aware and ungrounded.
Okay.
And we're not making value judgments about any of those states because all are appropriate in different times and places. You know, that psalm about the seasons for everything. And what we are working to convey is that the capital S self thrives in environments where we face our fear and release it to allow whatever state is appropriate in a moment so that we can be in this expanded connection to evolutionary possibility, we'll call it, in this moment, which is the same as ultimate reality, you know, allowing us to expand into. And this is actually a field of unknowing. It's conscious awareness, but and so allowing is actually a courageous experience, allowing ourselves to expand into a field of awareness. Because we face our fear and allow it to dissipate as we expand. And that can feel very ungrounded, whether it's grounded or not, in physical awareness, because it's so expansive that we often can't tell if we're grounded because it's not our purpose in the moment. And so, and often we'll get afraid when we start to feel that expansion. And so the capital S self is allowing and expanding. And whether or not we're grounded in material reality ultimately is not important because we're all going to die. And this expanded awareness is what we will enter into. And so cultivating it on this side is worthwhile. Allowing it on this side is worthwhile. Encouraging it on this side is worthwhile. Judging ourselves as we become less and less material is not helpful. This is our point in this conversation. Does that help at all? Great. Mhm. Yes.
So that brings up to me, community is so important, but it's also based on the material. And there's a lot of judgment. We do judge each other. There's no harm in that. I mean, I think it's part of the way we learn from somebody else, but you judge it initially, and then you judge of this, and then you judge of that. And so, you know, it tends to keep us, community, for me, tends to keep me grounded in a certain way. That may not be helpful to my higher development.
Well, one of the purposes of spiritual community is that you rise above the judgment of others. You learn to do that because if all people are welcome, you end up with all kinds of judgment and non-judgment. And over time, you realize that, everything's a fishbowl anyway. In community or out of community, people can see you easily, even, the things that you're trying the most to hide are usually the most obvious to other people. And once you kind of get that, then the whole, oh, well, okay. And then we can get to the capital S self of acceptance. So sometimes community can be very important in hastening that process if we choose to embrace it in that way and understand that everybody has a different view, and people who judge us as lacking, well, they're just not in our field of vibration. And so it's not a judgment that has a sting anymore because of the self-acceptance. Or let's say it has less sting. Never totally loses that power.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm kind of feeling one day would be fun for us to all get together a little potluck. Just saying, some point.
Sounds great. We
Just
could host
throwing it
it.
out there.
We could host it.
We've done that before. It's been a while.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
It was a long pre-COVID.
Yeah, pre-COVID we did it.
Well, just a thought. It'd
Mm-hmm.
be nice to see y'all in person. I like this
Yeah.
as well, but
And we could do a Sunday.
yeah. Didn't know Pam was a sign painter. That's something.
Yes. Imagine what we will discover about each other
Oh my gosh.
if we
Okay, thanks.
spend an afternoon together.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, so email conversations with Anasa with some September dates. Probably Sunday's a good day for everybody to travel. We could do an afternoon thing so that everybody could get home as well.
And before we did a kind of an in-person Anasa, which we used to do, and then I think we had kind of a bagels and brunch kind of thing afterwards, if I
Exactly
remember.
right. Yeah. Well, if that sounds good, let us know some dates in September. Okay. So we're coming to the end. Let's enjoy the quiet a little bit together. Hmm. Hmm. The guides are showing a clapping emoji that we're going to get together. Hmm. Thank you so much for being here today. Such a joy to be with you. So much love. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Hmm.